All right, all right, all right. Hello, how are you doing? Beautiful people, I am going to share my screen with you. And let's see. I'm opening up my screen so that I could be able to share my screen. Let me expand this. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my file with you. I'm still trying to figure out how to do this. I'm trying to see how I can switch. Hold on. Stop shit. Hold on. I'm trying to switch. Sorry, y'all. This is new for me, and please bear a little bit because today I want to show you how to do a loan signing for a power of attorney. It's a small file, and I want to really help you. Let's see. Here we go. Let me see if I can open this up. Okay, so I'm gonna minimize my screen and put myself over here. All right, so I decided to record the video so that you could see with me on my screen and walk it out with me. I'm gonna be as quick as possible because I hate dragging my videos on and on. So this one says Alabama power of attorney, and it says important information. This power of attorney authorizes another person to make decision concerning the property for you. The principal is the person, the seller or the borrower, but the person that's authorized is the agent, right? So the agent will be able to make decisions and act with respect to the property, including their money, whether or not they're able to act for themselves. The meaning of authority over subjects listed on this form is explained in this particular document, Alabama Uniform Power of Attorney. So it's saying that it does not authorize the agent to make healthcare decisions, to select someone they trust as their agent, that the agent is entitled to reimbursement and reasonable expenses and reasonable compensations unless the principal states otherwise in the special instructions. It provides for designation of an agent if you wish to name more than one agent, which this person does have. However, when there is a co-agent, a second person, a second power of attorney in the special instructions, co-agents are not required to act together unless they include that requirement in the special instructions. So in this case, when I conducted the signing, the second person did not have to be there. So only the first agent came, which happened to be the man's son. So we're going to move right along to the next page. I changed everything and hand wrote it and had to white out, of course, all of the personal information. So I created fake phone numbers, fake addresses, fake names, right? So the designation of the agent, who gets the power of attorney, Jack Doe is the principal. So it's saying I, Jack Doe, the person's name, right? Name the following person as my agent. So he gave his son the power of authority. The name of that agent would be his son, John Doe. So Jack Doe gave John Doe the power of authority. And then it lists the agent's address, which is John Doe's address, 6420 La La Land Drive, Rabbit Hole, Tennessee, 12345. Of course, I'm just being silly and inventing it. The agent's phone number, or Jane Doe, which is the name of the other person given the power of attorney. And of course, this person was not there, but those are the two people that were given the power of the power of attorney. Okay, now it says grant of general authority. It says I grant my agent, who is John Doe, right? And any successor agent, which is Jane Doe also, general authority to act for me with respect to the following subjects. And so this sometimes happens because the parent might get sick, or the person might be in hospice, or it could be different reasons. Sometimes the parents get too old to handle their finances, or they're really sick, so they want to have the children take over, or they're selling a property and maybe they're not at the mental capacity. Say a person has Alzheimer's or dementia, or they're just not able to do it for themselves. So then this other person takes the matters over for them in a limited capacity. And if there's other rules, then they would have to put special instructions in regards to that. So Jack Doe, who is the principal, signed off the permission relinquishing John Doe to be his agent and Jane Doe, right? So then they get to choose, if you wish to grant specific authority over less than all subject enumerated in this section, you must initial by each subject. So if they have specific special instructions, they would initial next to any of these. And I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but you could kind of browse it while I go. If you want to give it a screenshot, I'm going to scroll slowly. Okay, then grant a specific authority. It says my agent may not do any of the following. So it's saying what they don't allow them to do, and they would initial next to whichever ones they don't want. If none of those, count, or they don't want to pick anything, they don't have to. It's only if they want to, then they would initial next to that. It says limitations on agent's authority. An agent that is not my ancestor, spouse, or descendant may not use my property to benefit the agent or a person to whom the agent owes an obligation of support unless I have included that authority in special instructions. So limitation of power, except for any special instructions given herein to the agent to make gifts, the following shall apply. And when you print these, you can always browse through it if you want to learn more about reading that. And here's some more special instructions: relation of attorney in fact to healthcare agent. Any decision affecting my property or financial affairs, including decision as to the disbursement of monies belonging to me, which is made by my healthcare agent appointed pursuant to a healthcare power of attorney, shall be superior to binding upon my attorney. In fact, yada, yada, right? You get it. You're going to read that if you want to. You may give special instructions on the following lines. For your protection, if there are no special instructions, write none in this section, right? So either of the above named agents, John Doe or Jane Doe, may serve either an individual or collective capacity. Only signature of one agent is required in order for it to be binding and effective. So now it says effective date. So over here it says, if there are no special instructions, write none in this section. I guess right here, he's supposed to write none. Guess what? I missed that. So now I'm catching my mistake as well. But yes, you are going to have them write none. And sometimes you have to read through the documents before you get to the signing, because I'm going to tell you, I made another mistake when I did do this. And those are some of the errors you're going to make as a new notary. Don't kick yourself too hard. Just learn from your mistakes and move forward. And next time you're going to know how to do it the right way. So be thankful for those mistakes, because those mistakes are going to help you to be able to learn how to do things the right way. Okay. So anyway, I was supposed to have signed this in blue ink. I'm going to get to that page and I'm going to explain something else to you when we get to that page. But right now, let's continue. It says effective date. This power of attorney is effective immediately unless I've stated otherwise in the special instructions. Nomination of a conservator or guardian, if it becomes necessary for a court to appoint a conservator of my estate or guardian person, I nominate the following persons. So they're going to put who they select, if anyone, their address, phone number. And if there's a second person, they would do the same thing. It says reliance of this power of attorney. Any person, including my agent, may rely upon the validity of the power of the copy unless that person knows that it has terminated or is invalid. Then it says signature and acknowledgement. So here, Jack Doe already signed this and dated it, and the address is there and phone number, right? So now it says state of Alabama. I put county, you're going to, if the county that you're notarizing in is not the county that you're commissioned in, then you're going to put acting in the county of, and then you're going to put that county, let's say, for example, that county is Maple. Then you would write acting in the county of Maple. So just a little side note for you. And so I, Saida Dominguez Dudley, Notary Public, in and for the county in this state, hereby certify that Jack Doe, whose name is signed to the foregoing document and who is known to me, acknowledged before me on this day that being informed of the contents of the document, he executed the same voluntarily on the same and bears the date. So given under my hand this 10th day of September, Saida Dominguez signature, Notary Public, my commission expires, and Saida, the notary that's notarizing that acknowledgement is going to sign there and put their seal and the date that they notarize it and the date that their commission expires. Important information for the agent. Now, the agent would be you. Whenever you see agent, make sure whether they're talking about the agent that's helping with them with the deal, whether it's a refinance or whatever it is, or whether they mean agent as in you. In this case, they're referring to you. So agent's duties: when you accept the authority granted under this power of attorney, a special legal relationship is created between you and the principal. This relationship imposes upon you legal duties that continue until you resign or the power of attorney is terminated. You must do what you know the principal reasonably expects you to do with the principal's property. Act in good faith. Do nothing beyond the authority granted. Disclose your identity as an agent whenever you act for the principal. Unless special instructions in this power of attorney state otherwise, you must also act loyally as the principal's benefit. I'm sorry, let me backtrack. I apologize. I said that in this case, the agent was you, the notary. No, in this case, the agent is the person who is given the power of attorney. Forgive me for that error, but I just corrected it. So avoid conflicts that would impair your ability to act in the principal's best interest. Act with care, competence, and diligence. Keep a record of all receipts, disbursements, and transactions made on behalf of the principal. Cooperate with any person that has an authority to make healthcare decisions for the principal. Attempt to preserve the principal's estate plan if you know the plan and preserving the plan is consistent with the principal's best interest. So anyway, it goes on and on. Liability of the agent, the meaning of the authority granted to you is defined in, again, it's quoting where that's granted. And of course, they should seek legal advice if they don't understand anything in the document. Then there's a settlement statement. So the settlement statement, you're going to get used to seeing this form. I know it's cut off, but usually it shows any debits and credits. And then usually when you're doing a refinance, it usually shows the amounts for the amount that they originally owed, but let's say when they're refinancing, then now the new loan is going to show here. So the old loan that's going to get paid off, it would show all the debits and credits here, and on the new loan, it would show all the debits and credits here. So here it's showing all of the settlement for everything that was charged, right? So this one, it says Jack Doe by John Doe. So whenever John Doe, the agent who has the power of attorney, is signing on behalf of Jack Doe, the principal, then it's going to say, then he's going to sign here and date. You see, it says date. I know it's a little cut off because I have to white out and write over it, but it says Jack Doe by. So it says by John Doe. So John Doe is signing for Jack Doe as attorney in fact under the power of attorney and the date. Now, this one, you leave it blank. You only notarize and sign for people who are present at the table. Then we're going to go to this warranty deed. And as you can see, I wrote state of Alabama and I put acting in the county of Maple. It's just an example. Knowing all men by these presents Jack Doe, the principal, and then whose address is yada yada, whatever that address is. Property address, it has his address. So this is the warranty deed, and then you always, sometimes it's easy to miss stuff like this, but you're going to fill in the date, and a lot of times people miss this right here on the deed. So always look carefully to see if there's anything you need to fill in. So in witness of the undersigned has hereon to set hand and seal the 17th day, right? Grantor, person with the power of attorney, which is John Doe. So John Doe is going to sign here where it says seal. It means sign, or, your signature for John Doe, who Jack Doe says by John Doe, attorney in fact. That I would notarize here, state of Alabama, acting in the county of Maple, because that would not be my commission county, even though I am in the same state. I, the notary, right? If you're making your declaration and then you're going to date again, sign, put when your commission expires. If your seal does not show an expiration date, write my commission expires under the seal, write that in, because some states require that. So you see here where it says affix notary seal, your seal is not going to fit there. The space is too small. So that you would attach, depending on the document, an acknowledgement or a jurat, right? So you would say see attachment, where it says affix notary seal, you say see attachment, and then you would fill out whatever information you need to fill out. I have an all-purpose acknowledgement and an all-purpose jurat that I ordered from the NNA. So you would attach this to the back, and then this instrument was prepared for whatever address that says. I tried to change as much of that stuff. Exhibit A, legal description. You never have to sign anything there. You just bypass it. Always keep the forms in the order that you downloaded them and return them in that. Now over here, it is notary instructions. Always read them. Because this is going to happen often, if you ever have documents that are going to be sent to you at the very last minute, which they will, sometimes at the very last hour. Hopefully you've been able to save up to invest in a portable printer, because it's really going to come in handy as a loan signing agent. So I did not have time to read this. And of course, I missed something important because it was sent to me at the very last minute and it was a short document. So I quickly got to the signing and pulled out those instructions. So you have to be real careful. But again, when you're new, you're not going to know a lot of these things. And that's why I'm creating this video, because I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I made. And that way you know what to look out for when you see things like this. So it says the deed must be signed in the presence of the notary public. Print documents on one side of paper only. My printers are set to print one-sided, but sometimes when I'm at home, I print out of my car or out of my office, but at home, my printer, if I, let's say, have to print a double-sided document and I exit, when I go back to print, it doesn't default back to its original settings. It'll default to whatever I last set it as. And then sometimes I've printed documents double-sided and have to go and reprint it. Like this evening, that had happened to me, but luckily it was personal information and it was not a whole lot of printing. So just keep that in mind. Always watch your printer settings. That's very important, and you definitely don't want to be spending money printing documents unnecessarily and wasting all that good, valuable paper that you have to purchase out of your notary budget income, right? Okay, it says the notary public must sign, affix the notary ink stamp and indicate the date the commission expires. See, so even if your stamp doesn't say it, you would have to write my commission expires and when it expires. If the notary seal does not reference the notary name, the name of the notary must be printed, typed, or stamped. And I do this. It is not required in my state if it doesn't ask for it, but I still do it because I think it's just formal for them to know your name, especially if you have a signature like mine that you don't understand what it says. So I usually write around where I sign, and sometimes they'll say notary signature. I write, if I have, try to write real small, I'll write my name right under my signature or somewhere close to my signature so that they'll see my printed name. And as you can see, some people actually require that your name be printed, typed or stamped below your signature. So I'm glad that I've covered my butt in that area. Please make certain the notary ink stamp is legible. So if you stamp your stamp, and that happened to me before, my stamp was jamming, and what I would do is, my notary log, the very last page that's blank, I use that to unjam it. I like stamp it hard and it would unjam, so I had to kind of play with it, and it hasn't done it anymore. But I did have one time that I stamped and it didn't stamp everything, so I wrote error with my initials and then I stamped it next to it again. It has to be fully legible. If the signature is on behalf of a corporation, the signature must be the president, vice president, otherwise original. So you would read all of these instructions, transfer forms. The following must be submitted with the deed for recording. Moving right along, more notary instructions. So it has Jack Doe, the principal, his address, and it says signing instructions. I'm sorry, y'all. Forgive me, I'm a little congested, but it says verify the spelling of your name, address, and property address is correct. So you want to make sure that all of the documents are showing the person's name correctly, their address, just like it's saying right there. Excuse me. Obviously, it's important, or they wouldn't have gone through the trouble of putting it there. Clearly, sometimes those mistakes are made, and you have to learn how to be very analytical and pay close attention to detail and know how to look out for these things, to know how to scope it, quickly and to see. So it says, please use blue ink. Since I got this at the last moment, guess what Saida did? She signed with black ink. And then I came back, happened to read this so that I could do a training on it. And I nearly fell on the floor. And I was like, oh my goodness. So I had to call the agent at the title company, left her a voicemail, apologizing, letting them know that I'm willing to correct my mistakes, if any, including having signed with black ink, and to forgive me for the error, but that the paper was sent at the very last moment and it didn't give me time, because what they'll do is sometimes, I don't know why they do this, but sometimes the title companies, instead of putting all of your instructions at the very top, they'll mix it in with the packet. I don't know if they do that to see if you're going through the paperwork, but for some reason, they'll throw your instructions somewhere in the middle of the packet. So it's very important that you go through the packet quickly, just to be sure that you don't do like me and sign in black ink when they're asking for blue ink. And this is something I'm very anal about, because I know that some companies require it. So usually I get it for certain type of companies are gems. They're just very organized. They give you all the instructions at the beginning, and you can see right away all the, you can read all the notary rules and guidelines and be prepared. Other people are like this company that throw the documents with your instructions in the middle of the package. So always look to see where those instructions might be. Provide a clear, legible copy of their license, passport, or other type of ID. Do not mark or delete any document. So where it says do not mark up or delete any document, sometimes I will call them, even though I can probably put a line with my initials and make the correction. But if they say do not mark up, I take them literally for their word. And I want them to tell me that it's okay to mark it. And I'll explain to them, look, some title companies, don't like you crossing things out and making the corrections. And it said not to mark up. Do you authorize me to do that? Or would you rather I not make that change? And then I let them make the call. So that way they know we discussed that when they get the package back. Always cover your butt. Okay. Deed instructions. The deed must be signed in your presence, the notary's presence. Name of each witness, if they're required, they must be printed. Deed must be signed in front of the notary public. Notary public instructions. You must acknowledge the deed. Affix your stamp. Make sure all signature blocks of the signers are completed properly. So by that, if let's say his name was John Anthony Doe, on that signature line, even if doesn't usually do it that way, but if it says it on the line, and let's say the previous document said John Doe, he will sign over here as John Doe, or here if it says John Anthony Doe, he will sign as John Anthony Doe. So always look at the signature line and let them know, please sign your name exactly how you see it written here, even though previously you signed it this way. However you see the name on the signature line, please sign it exactly that way. And another thing, I think I wrote in one of the packages, so I'm not going to be redundant. So let's move right along. More notary public instructions. After execution, email the enclosed documents to Mary Jane Closings at whatever.com. Do this before the documents are sealed and delivered to Federal Express. Now I said email the enclosed documents. That means they want scan backs, which I did do. I went to my office because my printer was acting up in my car, but I did give them the scan backs, and then I mailed the package later that evening. I'm sure they got a chance to look at it because that's why they ask for scan backs before you ship out the package. So it may be, sometimes they make mistakes too and don't catch your mistakes, or it doesn't come up until later on. So I'm hoping this doesn't come back and bite me in the butt. So provide a copy of all the documents to the signer, right? Because I always print 2 copies of the document. One, I put client copy on one manila folder and I stick their paperwork in there. I don't put it in the order that it was downloaded. As long as they have the paperwork, that's all that matters. The one that I focus on is the one that I have to return to the title company. That's the one I focus on organizing in the order that I downloaded it. Okay. Immediately thereafter, arrange to return all the signed documents. In this instance, they used FedEx. When you use FedEx, sadly, UPS does not have plastic envelopes. They're all cardboard. I don't know why. And another thing I hate, at least in my state, they close at 7 p.m., whereas FedEx is open until 8 p.m. my time. So I love FedEx, and I love that FedEx has the large packs. The large packs are plastic, so that way, even if it rains, you don't have to worry about the documents getting wet. I love the large packs, and they already know me, so they always give me a handful when I ask. Funds will be delivered via wire transfer unless they choose a paper upon receipt of our original closing documents, right? If they want it wired. Any deviation from the above instructions may result in a delay of closing, and sometimes they will reduce your fees, and sometimes they'll specifically state, like some of the signings that I've done, is like, if you make a mistake in such and such, your fee will be deducted by $25. And I'm like, ouch. That makes me pay even closer attention because I am working very hard, and sometimes, especially if I have to drive an hour or over an hour, I want to be sure, first of all, that I don't have to drive back another hour. Second of all, that my fee doesn't get reduced. Okay. Now here's a disclosure statement regarding notary services. So they're giving a lot of instructions. I'm like, why would you put that in the middle of the package? I do not know. I got so frustrated when I saw all of that. So signature closers, that's who retained my services. I love signature closers, by the way. That's who I really work for. I might take orders from other companies, which I'll do a separate video about, but I love me some signature closers, okay? Let's see. Scope of services. The notary has been engaged to provide notary services. Is prohibited from selling, soliciting, or negotiating insurance. Includes discussing any terms or premiums associated with any title insurance or other insurance. Prohibited from offering advice, counsel, guidance related to closing documents. And this is very dangerous for notaries that used to work at banks or real estate firms because they understand the documents at a whole nother level. So in the past, I've heard that other people have gotten in trouble because they start getting too involved in the paperwork. I'm kind of glad I don't know it that well so that I don't put my foot in my mouth, but I let them know in the beginning. When I swear them in, I ask, that nobody forced them to sign the paperwork they're about to sign, and that they have a clear understanding of what they're about to sign because they were able to review the documents prior to my arrival. And whether it's true or not, they all reply yes to get sworn in because they want to get over with the signing, right? But I made sure to cover my butt by asking them that. So, and I also let them know I'm an independent neutral party who was hired through a signing service, and I have no idea what you or the title company agreed to. I am not a lawyer, so all I could do is kind of explain the document title to you and point to where you're to sign. But if you have any questions or there's anything that stands out to you or that doesn't make sense or you don't understand, we can stop, or we could write down a list of all your concerns and sign everything else, and then we can call the title company. You can go through all of your questions if you desire. Right? Some of them do that. Some of them just kind of read through the document, and I tell them, hey, we're not in a hurry, even though we are, but we are there for them. That's what we're getting paid to do. And you have to make them a priority because we're providing a customer service. It's not just about us and the making money and getting to the next signing. No, you have to care for the person you are there providing the service for, right? So that's why I try to space my signings not too close to each other. And I know some people might have a signing, like some people could do a signing in 20, 30 minutes. I'm hoping I can get to that eventually, but it takes me about an hour to conduct a signing. And I'm comfortable with that, but maybe eventually I'll get better to where I won't have to take that long. I still don't know how they do it in 20, 30 minutes, but in time I will understand more as I grow in this business. Okay, so then signature Jack Doe. By Jack Doe, I'm sorry, it was supposed to say by the signature below, sir, to acknowledge receipt, it was supposed to say by John Doe because the agent with the power of attorney, it's going to sign and date here, not the principal. So side note, tell them to write the full year. There we go. I didn't want to repeat that earlier and then come again and repeat it. So it says, tell them to write the full year, not to abbreviate it, because some people will put 21. Some people put 2020, even though we're almost at the end of it, 2021. So I'd say, forgive me for being repetitive, but please put the date in. It's 11/17/2021, whatever the year is. And please write the whole year because they're very anal about people abbreviating the year. And they do it. Sometimes they go to goof, but they take the pen and try to fix it. Again, it says John Doe is going to sign in date because it says, it has the principal's name, and it says by, and then it will say John Doe right there, and the date. Settlement agent, that's the person that has nothing to do with you, and you're not notarizing that. They're just going to sign that. Acknowledgement for closing performed in escrow. So it has Jack Doe's address and name, and then John Doe is going to sign. Jack Doe by John Doe is going to sign in date. Okay, correction agreement and limited power of attorney. So it's showing that information up top. And then it says the undersigned buyer and sellers for and in consideration of approval, closing and funding in the above reference closing do hereby grant the settlement agent closing coordinator limited power of attorney to correct. So this form, what it's saying is that John Doe, who is signing for Jack Doe, is authorizing the title company to make any clerical corrections if there's anything misspelled or misworded, that they would have to correct that document, and they're authorized, giving them the authority to act as the power of attorney to make those corrections. So Jack Doe by John Doe would sign and date. And I always stress it's for any typographical errors, not numerical. State of Alabama, acting in the county of Maple, then you're going to notarize right here and then fix your seal. You see where it says notary seal. So I would put it right here where I have space. As long as you don't go, like if there was a line break, you wouldn't want to pass that line break, but you have space here and you can always affix your seal right around this area. Okay. If it didn't fit, and let's say there was a line here, then clearly your seal is not going to fit. So you would do what I told you earlier, see attached and attach an acknowledgement or a jurat, depending on the document. Seller's affidavit. So they're saying, before me, the undersigned person appeared, okay, as being sworn according to the post says that the ownership and description of transaction. So you would read these, no violations, Like sometimes neighbors fight over little pieces of land. I have that situation with my neighbor. He doesn't like me cutting his grass, which is like this much land. For some reason, whoever lived here before, no, they built a fence. But for some reason, they didn't build the fence all the way to where their land ends. So we were cutting our grass, and he came and told me, that we're cutting the grass too low, and that he didn't want us cutting that part of the grass, that he would cut it. So that means he would have to come into our yard because their fence, So I didn't want to make a big deal. Eventually just kind of went away, and the guy that cuts my grass, I was like, look, just cut it. And he said something, you cannot deal with it. But some people are very petty like that, like just for a little piece. And I mean, and I say petty in the sense that it's not hurting anything. We're not growing any vegetation on your land or whatever, so I can't help it if you made a mistake when you put your fence up. But now if it's like certain amounts of land or the county trying to come and use your land for something, now it's different, right? So moving right along. So they're going to read all of this. You say, if you want to go through that, please take your time and go through the document, and then you're going to, sign here and date there. And then I'm going to notarize after you sign and date. So I give them the documents, but then I show them which one they're going to sign. And I always gently remind them, or, if you want to go one by one, hand them to me so I can open them, because I have to turn them back in the exact same order. So I would put my stamp, fill it out, as you could see, moving right along, because we're on page 26 and we have 41 pages. So I'm going to try to go quicker, but you get the point, right? Exhibit A, you're not going to notarize anything. Non-foreign status certification, that's pretty self-explanatory. So John Doe would sign for Jack Doe. Okay, this would be for a form for the IRS, the 1099-S, proceeds from the real estate transaction, filer's name, address, telephone number, the amount, address. John Doe would sign for Jack Doe, and he, I believe, had to sign 3 of the same form. Sometimes you're going to do that, depending on whether they're veterans and they need a copy for the VA. So sometimes you're going to have to have them sign several of the same exact documents, kind of like the right to cancel. Sometimes you have to sign 2 or 3 of those copies. This is just information for them, which is in their file. Here they're going to check whether they want to check mailed or whether they want the funds wired, and direct deposited. They would put their bank information over here. It says split proceeds. So if they want to split the proceeds, they would put on the next page, they're going to put that. John Doe will sign for Jack Doe. Here is the split. So they would put how much of the amount, the bank information for that person, and how much for each one that they're splitting the amount. John Doe would sign for Jack Doe. So I think you're kind of getting it. The notary indemnification statement, property address, which is the principal. Over here would be a power of attorney, which would be John Doe. And you would fill out what type of ID they gave you, and then make sure the stamp fits. If not, attach an acknowledgement, put your seal. If it doesn't fit, you put the acknowledgement. So here, the stamp does fit, okay? But always make sure before you stamp, kind of affix your stamp. If you see that the lines of the stamp kind of touch these words, then it means that the stamp may just stamp over the words. You will have to just do what it says. Attach an acknowledgement. You put your information. Jack Doe, indemnity and undertaking agreement. This is a gap. So this is, at first, if anything pops up before they finish paying and closing off the deal, that they're going to hold the title company taking the deal harmless, and that they're going to partake in, doing their due diligence to fill in those gaps in between the signing getting closed, okay? It says remainder page, left blank, signature page to follow. So here, what happened? Okay, here we go. I'm sorry, my computer's acting up. I hate when that happens, don't you? My Wi-Fi is a little slow. They say that we have the best Wi-Fi in the United States. I beg to differ. So signature page to follow. Let me see if it'll let me scroll. I'm trying to move slow. Okay, indemnity. Okay, that one I already showed. Let's go down, signature page to follow. Scrolling, and there we go. In witness thereof, you're going to put the date, and then John Doe's going to sign for Jack Doe. You don't have to notarize that. It's not asking for your seal. It says Exhibit A again. Guess what? We're done. Then after that, what I do, let me exit this now. What I do now is I say, you know what, would you give me 2 minutes just to go over everything one more time, just to be sure that I didn't miss anything as far as signatures, initials, or seal. And then I'll go ahead and go over it quickly. And that's when I put my little rubber finger on, because it helps me skim through the pages quicker. And then I'm like, okay, everything looks good. Here's your hard copy. I give them the hard copy. One time I forgot to give the client their hard copy, and I had to mail it. UPS was trying to charge me a ton of money. I went straight to the United States Post Office, but I did text the client, oh, by the way, I forgot to give you your hard copy. I'm so sorry. I will put it in the mail right away and ship it to you at my cost. Oh, she was like, thank you. I went, shipped it out, and guess what? As soon as I told her that, she went and gave me a 5-star review on my Google business page. Despite the fact I forgot, but because I acknowledged my error and that I was willing to fix it, that's all that it took. So thankfully, most of the times with the errors you make, they can be fixed. The problem is that it delays them closing on those documents, right? So you want to try to get to the point where you're so efficient that you're making little to no mistakes. But if you do, don't get upset. Just fix your mistake and keep it pushing. I hope this video helped you. If this video resonated with you, I want you to hit that like button and hit the subscribe button so you can catch more informative videos like these. Hit that notification bell so that when I post videos, you can be informed and be able to catch and see if there's something in these videos that will help you become a better notary and to avoid the errors that I have made along my journey. Or you can message me and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can to answer your questions and find the answer to your questions or concerns. Again, hit like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share it if you have to. Send it to yourself so that you'll have a record of the video. And hopefully my videos are helping you become more efficient, more confident. And even when you screw up, still look confident. Don't let them see your weaknesses, but you will know inside. Mental note, don't ever make this mistake again, okay? That's how you go getting stronger. Like Denzel Washington said, fail big, because in those failures is where the gems are hidden. That's where you're going to become a master, okay? I don't know. I keep seeing a little green bar over my face, so I don't know if you can see my whole face, but I think that's not so important. I think what's most important is all the paperwork that I just finished showing you. I'm going to do another video showing you a refinance, but it's going to be a thick package because this one is on a mobile home. And I think that's important because I haven't seen other videos in regards to that. And if you live in a town where you get to do a lot of signings on mobile homes, you're well aware that those packages are pretty thick, 175 to over 200 pages. I unfortunately drove over an hour, no, almost an hour, to go and conduct a refinance. The people forgot their date. I tried to call them, leave voicemails. They weren't calling me back or answering. And when I get there, no one's there to answer the door. And I printed 2 sets of these. So it was over 400 pages that I printed for nothing. But the company will reimburse me for my travel and for printing all those documents. However, I hated that I drove over an hour and lost my pay. That, I would rather have gotten the pay. But I'm going to take advantage of that package and do the same thing, block out as much of the personal information that I can so I can be able to walk you through that refinance for a mobile home. I wish I'm going to see if I find one with a mobile home with a veteran, because that one is even more paperwork. And I would love to show you what it's like to conduct a signing for a veteran living in a mobile home who is refinancing. Oh yeah, those are really, really fun. So for now, stay beautiful. I hope this video helped you again, and I'm out.